Last night I went out to go see Ghostbusters Afterlife, something that I've been waiting for a long time, like many of you Ghostbusters fans out there. This one is directed by Jason Reitman. It stars a bunch of younger actors sort of picking up the mantle from the classic Ghostbusters franchise. Now, I'm going to get into this review, but I'm going to tell you right out of the gate that I'm not spoiling stuff. This is going to be a spoiler-free review. What I will say is that the movie does put a heavy emphasis on this new cast of characters. One of them is Mckenna Grace, who plays a fantastic new character named Phoebe. She's the granddaughter of Egon Spengler and has a scientific kind of mind and looks at the world in a very interesting way and is kind of open to this idea of the supernatural and following in her grandfather's footsteps. Finn Wolfhard is in this as well. He's a teenager that's trying to sow some oats and is not incredibly happy that his family has relocated to the middle of nowhere to this farm that just looks like it's falling apart before his eyes. Their mom is played by Carrie Coon, and she's terrific. I think she's really a great anchor component of this picture. She's grounded, she's dealing with some life struggles and doing her best to kind of keep the lives of her family afloat, and suddenly inherits this dilapidated farm and is trying to make the best of it in this new town. And of course, what happens in this new town is all kinds of supernatural anomalies start to happen. Giant earthquakes are shaking everything, including the school where Paul Rudd is teaching some summer school to the kids that are attending. He's got some funny bits in this thing as well. He's really dependable and reliable as a performer. So the characters start to see that things are not as calm and quaint in this small town as they should be. And ghosts start appearing, and just as that is happening, the kids start to realize that their grandfather had a lot of secrets on the farm. And so we get to see the Ecto-1 is revealed, and we get the kids racing around in that in a pretty exciting sequence. And some ghosts get busted. And that's about where I want to leave it plot-wise. You know, we're going to have some echoes of familiarity for any Ghostbusters fans out there, and it's certainly going to evoke the, over-the-top hijinks and the special effects and musicality of the 80s movies. And I think that's one of the best things about this picture, is that it really kind of feels like a hybrid of the classic Ghostbusters fused with the Goonies. And I think it's a great idea. I don't know if that was an Ivan Reitman, who was the creator of Ghostbusters, or Jason Reitman. I don't know how that idea kind of came together, but I like the concept very much. And I, of course, love the nods to nostalgia. I love that they're looking at YouTube videos of old Ghostbusters commercials. It's clearly a movie built to satisfy longtime fans of the franchise, but also to kind of potentially propel us into a new generation of Ghostbusters. My big issue with the movie is that it's just not as funny as the original film was. And this is something that also plagued the 2016 Ghostbusters film, which was not the worst thing I'd ever seen, but certainly not up to the caliber of the original Ghostbusters at all. Ghostbusters 2 had some funny stuff in there too, but the original is just such a timeless classic. And I think a big part of it is the genius of Dan Aykroyd and Bill Murray and Harold Ramis and Ernie Hudson all playing off of each other perfectly. And I think Bill Murray was just such a central component, that sarcastic wise ass that was always trying to game every situation. And there isn't really that component here in Ghostbusters Afterlife. There's a beautiful innocence to a lot of the storytelling. Their kids have their friends that bring a lot of charm into the picture and ground it as well. And you care about them, you like them. And the movie is charming. It just doesn't go silly enough. It doesn't get funny enough. And so there's no character that's sort of in on the joke like Bill Murray was. He was kind of like the avatar for the audience in the original. He didn't believe in any of this stuff, and then he was forced to. That doesn't exist in Afterlife. But of course, they're not trying to remake the original, and they're trying to kind of find their own tone. And I will say that it's a gorgeous movie. There's some really beautiful shots. There's some emotional bits in here too. I did start to get a little choked up in a couple sequences, which are great. The Ecto-1 is such a star in this picture. There's some beautiful action shots with the car racing around town and racing through wheat fields, and it just looks amazing. I must have had follow drones and stuff like that following this beautiful car whipping around town streets and chasing after ghosts. It was really cool. There's also some interesting new improvements to the technology that we know from the classic Ghostbusters days. And then, of course, there are all of the allusions and extensions back into the Ghostbusters franchise. So overall, it's a satisfying movie. I just don't feel it's up to the pedigree of the original. I don't know if that's even possible, but I think we can expect, if we see the branding of Ghostbusters, to laugh a little more than what I did in Ghostbusters Afterlife. I still think you should see it. I think that it's a great family film. I can't wait to watch this again with my daughter. And I was especially impressed out of all of the performers, and there's some really, top-level stars in this. I was really impressed by McKenna Grace, who has a lot on her shoulders, and she delivers some really memorable, good stuff in this. It's a good time. It's not the best time, though, that I've had with Ghostbusters. I'm going to give Ghostbusters Afterlife a 7.5 out of 10.